Now it's a module 7 in which VMware VCP 9 has a capability of VPC enablement, and this kind of have a same terminologies as we have in public cloud, in Amazon and Google Cloud. What is a VPC? VPC is virtual private cloud, and this private cloud is basically a kind of tenancy. So within one VPC, we can have different subnets and can talk to each other. So these VPCs can be configured via UI, or it can be configured by APIs, Terraform, and REST API. So VPC give us a tenant-like feature, and each tenant can be isolated. We can configure to have a communication. Ideally, like there is a isolation, so multiple subnets within a same tenant can talk to each other with the help of VPC enablement. And how does it work? Like within a single VPC, we can have different subnets. These subnets could be used for storage, compute, or networking for NSX. And in order to have those communication to be done, we have VPC gateways. So this particular subnet has to talk to the other subnet. The traffic will flow through the VPC gateways. There's a connectivity within the virtual cloud. But if someone has to talk from the physical to the virtual, how does they communicate? Then there comes the transient gateway. If someone has to communicate from the physical to the virtual, so transient gateway basically connects the VPC with the physical switch, with physical router. So VPC enablement, at least MTU of 1700 at the physical fabric for the NSX network to be allowed, to allow the overall traffic without fragmentation. So TEPs, like it's old NSX concept that TEP is being used for Geneva package routing. And so this TEP is being used for east-west routing. So it can be configured for north-south communication. We can have a distributed or centralized transient gateway. At the deployment, VPC management WLD does not have a TGW, transient gateway. VIWLD. Uh, we have like we can have the transient gateway post WLD deployment and management WLD, and VI WLD for centralized. So this is the configuration how it looks like. Distributed has two transient which can communicate to the uh, one physical, or we can have a one transient and which is connected to two different VPCs and communicate to the physical router. This is called centralized. So we can configure either of two setup. In our lab, we are going to build the distributed TGW in the management WLD. Let's begin with the lab. WLD means workload domain. So let's begin with the lab in here. So the objective of this lab is to finalize the deployment of the newly deployed workload domain, make them VPC ready using distributed transient gateway in the management workload domain. At the high level, the lab comprises of 3 steps: connect to vServer, configure the transient gateway, validate the transient gateway. So this is physical router and this is gateway. 129 is a gateway on VLAN 24. These are the transient gateway. Let's begin. In here, we connect to VC management. We'll use VC admin to log in. Once we are in, click on networking. Click on virtual private network. Go to the network connectivity. Configure the network connectivity. Now we have a gateway type. It can be centralized or distributed. We'll use the distributed connectivity in our lab. So if we look into this picture, we'll see in centralized we have VPC, transient gateway, then edge nodes and edge cluster, then it goes to external world. But in distributed we have VPC, transient gateway, and then it straight away goes to the external network. Click next, select all, dedicate the VLAN and subnet must be available for the distributed transient gateway connection to TOR switch. All the host running VPC workload must have access to the VLAN. Disable the ICMP redirect on the external gateway for these VLAN. External gateway should allow package receiving from the ESXi over the VLAN, forwarding back to the same different ESXi. Reserve external IP block for VPC connectivity. External IP block must be same as a dedicated VLAN network. Click continue. Specify the VLAN. As we saw, it should be VLAN 24. We saw the IP even, gateway IP. In the picture, it was 10.1.8.129/25 subnet. Then external IP 10.1.8.128/24/5. That's a VPC external IP block. And private transient gateway IP address, IP block 172.16.100.0/24. Okay, we gave a IP for CIDR gateway 10.8.129/25. Then the upper lower bit is for VPC, and for transient it is 172.16.100. Then click on deploy. We'll see the status that the network gateway has been deployed. The transit gateway connectivity is distributed connectivity, so it has been deployed. So workload domain is now VPC ready, and applications can be connected to VPC network. That's it. So this was the validation. Just we need to check the status. Mhm. So this lab was having a three parts: connect to vCenter, we did; configure the transit gateway, we did; and validate. Validate is just to check this. Okay. So this is how we do the VPC enablement.